And it's another day here at the studio for making sure we give you videos that are meaningful to every single kind of posture that we have going on in humanity, you could argue. Today we're going to do a 15-minute moment which will give you the understanding of how to create stability and postural improvements for the swayback posture. I've deliberately made it a 15-minute moment, the idea being that by doing 15 minutes, you can see this glute band, with the glute band and the exercise I give you today, it should activate your posture and make a more correct alignment activation for the way you then live your day. The 15-minute will be built on with another 15 minutes tomorrow. So here we go for day one. Day one is with the glute band. It's for the swayback. The swayback has really locked out knees. They tend to hyperextend. The swayback tends to sit into one hip like so and stand chatting at the school gate or just stand at the bar. The swayback also has very low profile bum. In other words, completely opposite to me, I'm a lordotic, but there's no glute to be seen really. We call it endearingly the swayback, saggy, baggy bum posture. Whichever way, every exercise in this 15 minutes is relevant to everyone. It's just that the swayback, if you did this several times a week, you will most certainly move away from the dominance of the weaknesses that go on in you and end up with more strengths. We start with the squats. Because we're using a glute band, you need to have your squats such that your glute band already has some tension coming from the sides of your pelvic area, sides of your thighs. The pelvis, as you could imagine, should be in neutral, and I think we kind of understand where that's going. I'm going to turn to the side. You're going to be doing your squats, and then you're going to be peppering that with some side taps. So standing up, feeling your posture connection, reach your arms back and find that squat to work with. The swayback posture, the knees want to lock out. The side bottom hamstring area, that's the back of the thigh to the glute, doesn't really want to get involved and will do all it can. And so the first deviation is it tends to want to go into an imprint. In other words, the pelvis doesn't quite know where it starts and where the legs stop or begin. You're going to go down into this squat and stay. Staying in your squat, because it's the first squat, I'm going to suggest you go for a couple of pelvic tilts. Using your breathing, the breath out, is to feel the grounding of the heel and the pelvic tilting of the sit bones pulling under without your bum cheeks squeezing. So in this moment, it's about activation of the core area and the switching on from the heel to the hip and from the hip bone to the ribs. Stay where you are in that squat then. Once you're comfortable that your squat is neutral, reach your hands again and you're going to tap off the side of the mat and tap and tap. If you feel the need to keep the fingertips to the hip bones, to make sure that as you push the leg to the side and pull it back to the centre, that the pelvis isn't twisting with that, that too is fine. Use your breathing. So your breath can either be a single breath there and back or split the breath up. It won't make any difference except that the trunk stability is fed with the breathing. You want to do about 10 of these. You start to feel the side area activate along with some of the hamstring and obviously with your core area, abdominal support. The next time both legs are together, get the feet so that they're wide enough to feel the thighs against the band, pelvic tilt, tuck your bottom under and your back to the top. Repeat that same exercise. I'm calling today part one because it's meant to be simple enough for you to learn to do without having to switch me on. Equally, if you want to switch me on, it should be smooth. No new things so much as, oh, this is what I need to do and I feel better when I've done it. Stay down in this squat then. Make sure your pelvic position is neutral. Shrink the abdominals in and start the taps. So you're not rigid anywhere, but you're using your trunk activation, which is pelvic floor, abdominal wall, and you feel the band as your thighs push against it and you touch. Have a glance down, make sure that the side tap goes straight out to the side, not behind you, not front of you, and that your knees stay more or less over your heels, ankle area. And you've got another 3 of these. 2. Use your breath. And make sure the last one, you take your feet back out again wide. Go for that pelvic tilt. Getting the posture back up to stand. Your next shape is going to be to the floor. So bring yourself down, have a look at where your feet are, make sure that they're level with each other, and then walk them out sideways slightly, pull your thighs wide open. If you're able to roll yourself down, then do so. First shape here is the abdominals. So make sure you haven't trapped your hair or your clothing under the mat. Wriggle around till you feel level, and then slide the heels back, equal timing to get the position as it should be. I've got the feet thighs wide because I want to activate the glute band, because I want to feel the side bottom area working. A sway back is weak, inactive, side bottom, back of the pelvis and back of the thighs. So this band's helping this activation. Going to your pelvic tilts, you're breathing deeply in and out, you're feeling the ground under the sacrum, you're keeping heavy behind the pubic bone and the hip bones. Keep the breath. So an exercise is literally this setup. The ability to stay with some tension on that glute band without rushing into something that blurs what you actually need. My pelvic position right now is trying to feel neutral. I'm grounded between the back of the pelvis, that's the lower waistband area, to my tailbone. I can feel the thighs pulling against this band. And as I breathe in and out, I can start to recruit the pelvic floor and the internal external oblique area just here. So get the breathing going, put your fingertips to your hip bones, your thumb to your rib cage. Breathe out and feel the ribs move under the navel, and then the pelvis tilt to the imprint without the thighs changing their shape. They're pulling gently outwards. Breathe into that moment there, identifying it as an imprint and everything aligned, and then let the breath out again. Allow you back to neutral. Breathing in. Breathe out, bring those ribs down. So this sway back tends to not want to bother with rib cage placement and pelvic tilt. The next time we find ourselves in the pelvic tilt, so you're going to go back to neutral, breathe out, exhale, find the band, find the rib cage imprint and the lumbar imprint. So I've now got my pelvis tilted, but not overly so. So sway back tends to drag the bum under and ignore the ribs. Now breathe out and pull your rib cage to your navel and your navel to your spine and stay here. You're in a lumbar imprint, you're breathing in 2, 3, 4 and out 2, 3, 4. And then the other thing about the sway back is they tend to not want to roll their shoulder blades off the floor. So you're staying here, you can still feel your sacrum and the lumbar imprint rather than everything pulled off the floor. You're kissing the mat behind you, and if I was to put a piece of fabric behind and pull on it, I won't be able to get it from under you. As you're breathing in 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, notice whether or not your thigh bones have just gently eased off that band. Don't let them. Keep the breath going and the rib cage continuously reaching in the direction of your belly button, and your belly button drawing down in the direction of the lower back to the floor behind you. Breathing and breathing. Are your feet still heavy equally? Are your thigh bones equally gently reaching against this band? And as you're doing this, beating with your arms, can you feel the rib cage reaching for your navel and your navel in the direction of the floor behind you? And allow that to go. Allow the body to go back into neutral. Now walk your heels under you more. Feel for the edges of your mat unless it's massively wide, and I do know who you are and you know who you are. Have a slight turnout going on at the heel and remove the cushion from under your skull. I'm going to wriggle down because I'm not quite on that mat and it won't do me any good. So I can feel my heels. I've had a look up to make sure they're level, and already I can feel the hamstrings waking up and my side bottom abductors working. We're going for your hip rolls. This is exercise number 3. Breathe in. Breathe out, press your hands. Pelvic tilt and pelvic rolling into the base of the scapula, the shoulders. Keep your hands reaching the band connected, and inhale, come back down again. Looking for symmetry and taking attention to detail. You've got 5 of these to go. Exhaling. Press through the outsides of your feet. Roll sequentially picking up that spine and reversing down. I don't mind if you do 4 breaths here, but I would move on the exhale if you're doing a 4 breath pattern. Breathe in. Pelvic floor, navel to spine, pelvic imprint. Rolling up. If you're coming down on 2 breaths, it's an inhale to detail that spine down. Don't squeeze your bum cheeks tight together to get this action. Use your pelvic floor. You're shrinking your hollowing abdominal series and that sense of pressing through the outsides of the feet, pushing through the outsides of the band to get the side glute med area and back down again. And if you can push your hands against the floor, it'll help ground you from your armpits, which goes for your oblique area. Inhaling and rolling that spine down without giving in at this area here. Last moment, exhaling, pelvic imprinting, picking up full weight through both feet, shoulder blades, collarbones, your arches are animated in the foot area, and you're rolling all the way down. From that moment there then, you're going to exhale and curl up through the head, neck and shoulders. Hold on to this area and pick up your feet and have them into what we call frog legs, lateral rotation. Keep your hands where they are, breathe in. Keep a gentle imprint, exhale and curl. That band and these thigh bones want to have an equal symmetry for the V shape. And as you go down again, you're not allowed to let the lumbar spine lift. As you curl up, you're not allowed to let more increase in imprint. It has to be that the rib cage, and if you want to use your head pad because it's too far down, the rib cage has to flex you up and back down. Notoriously, a swayback has long, weak obliques. The obliques are your rib cage area to your pelvis. They're multi-fiber directions, and this is one way of targeting them. You've got another 5 here. Now, the more you assist, the more you can nurture and modify to get the fibers working efficiently. If I'm correcting people here at the studio, they're swaybacks, they just don't want to bend their ribs. They'll do anything. They'll look as though they're doing it. They'll lift their head, but their shoulder blades will not be moving unless I force it. Use your breath. Keep the hand, the band. Last 2. And last one. Now stay in imprint. Put your hands back to the floor and keep your head against the cushion. Take your thighs back to parallel. Press your hands down and your head down, or you imprinted. Exhaling, let one heel pull down. Inhale, slowly return it back up. Exhaling, let the other thigh pull down. So you're resisting with one thigh and you're moving with the other. By doing this, you're forcing your abdominal oblique area to stabilize the spine and to stabilize the pelvis. Now, sway back, I can guarantee the back of the rib cage will try and float away from the floor. So we're doing all we can to stop that happening. That's the exercise. The exercise isn't your legs moving. The exercise is your breath out, pulling the ribs down, and then this connection here, challenging your ribs to stay down. By using the glute band, you're activating your weakest areas, your hamstrings and your obliques, okay? Glutes, hamstrings, oblique abdominals. We're going to play this next time with one heel down, not heel down resting, but heel connected, and then I've got my right heel down, my right hand comes behind my head as I roll up on the breath out and come back down. Exhaling. I refuse to let the leg that's airborne in tabletop to roll in towards the body. I keep it gently pressing out. I can feel the imprint of my lumbar. I can feel the shoulder blades rolling up and over to one side as I work the obliques now in different fibre directions. In other words, a bit of rotational twist. Remember, you're coming up and pulling over, and then you're going back to square shoulders. You're coming up and pulling over. You're refusing to lighten the load behind the left hand, lower back, back of the pelvic area. So a simple thing here is that you give in and let the band pull you over. Don't. Use the abduction, that's the side pull against that band, to refuse that to happen. You've got one more. And stay. Put both hands down, pick the leg up so both legs are up. Exhale, take your other leg down. So you've got your flexors working on the leg in the air, you've got some extensors working on the leg behind, and now we've got our obliques other side going, and a refusal to let the hip bones lighten their load under one side or the other. You've got to keep that pelvic floor, navel to spine. You can have your other arm here to help. And remember, an evidence of strength is that the oblique will roll your shoulder blades off the floor on one side and square them off when you go back down. Breath out and breathe in. Exhaling. Notice all of the things I'm mentioning because these are your top tips. The thighs are pulling against the band even though one heel is down and one leg is up. The back of the pelvis stays true and you can feel it, particularly as you curl up here. The rotation stops at the base of the scapula, the shoulder blade. 2 more. You're doing about 10 each side, I think, to get truly into everything rather than just some things that are loud. All right, and let that go. Pull your knees into your chest for a moment. Knees, 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 and then there you have it. Okay, that was deliberately a 15-minute moment to try and bring to you something that you could do at different points in your day. I'm aware that COVID is no longer happening in the same way it was, and we're trying to get our bodies and our lives to balance off again when there's limited time. Tomorrow there'll be another 15 minutes, and the day after something similar too. Hope you enjoyed. It's relevant for everyone, but the swayback posture will find it particularly targeted for where the weaknesses occur. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you in the studio or online. Goodbye for now.